Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're doing Dollar Tree DIYs. For my first project, I picked up a planter from Dollar Tree. I'm also going to be using some nautical rope that I had on hand, and don't worry, I'll link all the supplies that I used down in the description box. So with my planter, I wanted to hot glue my nautical rope so it created an X on my planter. So I figured out how long I needed the pieces to be, cut them off, and then cut off several pieces that were going to be the same length. I hot glued the nautical rope in one direction on my planter. I came back through and hot glued the other way with pieces that I had cut. Once I had all of the X's done, I decided to add some handles as well. So I hot glued handles on either side of my planter. So here's where the fun part comes in. I grabbed some Quickcrete from Lowe's, and I'm going to use that to make this planter look concrete. So you're going to get your Quickcrete and mix it with some water. Now, typically I like the consistency of my Quickcrete to be a little bit like pudding, but I wanted it to be a little bit thinner so that I could use it to paint all over this planter. But the cool thing is, if you get it too runny, you can add more Quickcrete, and if it's too thick, just add more water. Next, I'm going to take a foam brush. You need something that's going to be disposable, and I'm going to paint all around my planter, covering it completely. Now you want to make sure you really get around all the nautical rope, and I'm going to let this dry completely overnight. Once it sits overnight, now you have a really cool concrete planter that you can put any plant in to display. Today we're cooking an Every Plate meal. I want to thank them for sponsoring today's video. Now, if you're not familiar with Every Plate, they are a meal service. You get all the ingredients sent straight to your door. You can pick out your recipes online. Today we're going to be cooking the Cajun chicken sausage penne. So let's get started. So one of the reasons I really love Every Plate is because they have a super affordable price point. I'm gonna put the link to it down in the description box if you guys are interested. But all of your ingredients are gonna come pre-portioned out in this box, so you can easily pull out what you need for your meals. You don't even have to think about it. Every Plate makes home cooking easy and affordable. It's so much cheaper than any sort of fast casual dining. You can go on Every Plate's website and pick from 17 recipes, and when you pick your recipes, you're gonna get a recipe card sent with your meals. It's so easy to follow because it shows you all the ingredients you're gonna need on the front, and then on the back, it's no more than 6 easy steps. This one's 5, so we should be able to get it done. When the other dinner options can cost around $12 a person, that's why I love Every Plate, because you can get meals starting at just $4.99 per serving. Every Plate recipes come together in just about 30 minutes. I love the pre-portioned ingredients because that way you don't have any waste by having a big bottle in your fridge that you're not ever gonna use. From 3 to 5 o'clock every day in my house, it is so hectic. I don't have time to think about what I'm cooking. That's why I love Every Plate. They send the meals to me. All I have to do is cook them, and then I have a nice meal for my family. So it makes it so much easier. This looks so good. I'm gonna add a little bit of cheese to it. Really good. I definitely think this is a meal my whole family would like, which is awesome. So if you guys are interested in trying out Every Plate, just try it out for a week and see if you like it. I'll put all the information down in the description box. You can get started for just $1.79 per meal. And I also have an additional 20% off that you can use by going to everyplate.com and using my promo code, which I'll put right here. Dollar Tree has been coming out lately with different versions of their home decor in the shade brown. So they have these 11 by 14 frames that typically come with a black frame, and now they're selling them with the brown frame. So I grabbed 2 of them. Then I went on Etsy and found 2 prints that I loved and thought were adorable. I bought the prints. They were pretty affordable because they were the kind that you print yourself. Then I uploaded them to Walgreens website, and I used one of the Walgreens coupon codes to purchase these. So then I went to Walgreens. They're usually ready in an hour to pick up. I'm gonna take out the backing of my 11 by 14 frame and use that to trace around my print. I'll cut out my print and add them to the frames. I think these look so great in a grouping of 2. I'm gonna be creating another planter using that green planter, but it's gonna look totally different than the first one we made. Dollar Tree also sells these wood pieces, so I'm going to get that out and measure out. I want 4 pieces that are 2 inches long. Then I'm gonna use my saw and cut those pieces up. You guys have probably seen the planters that have the little wood bases. That's what I'm trying to recreate. So I'm gonna use some E6000 and hot glue to attach those wood pieces to the bottom of my green container. You can fill this planter with any faux plant or real plant that you like. If you guys like seeing home hack videos, make sure to hit that thumbs up button so I know to do more like it in the future. This next project is a little bit out there, but stick with me because I think it turned out really well. So I grabbed one of the clear trays that they have at Dollar Tree. I've used this in a bunch of different projects before, and I just really love the shape of it. Then I spray painted it with a navy colored spray paint. I'm gonna be doing an upcycling here with corkscrews. So if you have some corkscrews on hand, use those. I'm also gonna grab some twine that I already had on hand. I'm gonna hot glue the twine on the bottom of my corkscrew to make fun little patterns. Now, I didn't know exactly how I wanted this to look, so one I tightly put together. The next one I kind of spaced out and made a spiral. I'll put Waverly White chalk paint onto a piece of paper, and then I'm gonna dip both of my twine stamps into the paint. I'll put it out onto a sheet of scrap paper to see what it's gonna look like. I decided that I wanted the one that was more spread out as a spiral for my stencil. Then I'm just going to add the stencil to my blue tray. Now, a few tips here. You want to make sure you have enough paint on your stencil, but not too much. So once you dip it in the paint, do a test stamp on a little side piece of paper to make sure it's going to look right. You also want to make sure you add paint frequently. Now, the good thing is that if you put this on and it doesn't have as much paint, you can always add more by doing the stamp twice. And I just kind of added the stamps until I was happy with it. You can use this as kind of like a wall art backing piece or an actual tray to sit out. Now the next DIY is kind of like a two-parter DIY. I had this wood slab piece that I wanted to create a riser with. So I also found these hexagon beads off of Amazon, and I'm going to hot glue 4 of those to the bottom of my wood piece. Now this created a really cute riser for me. Now on top of the riser, I wanted to add some fun jars that would look kind of cute this spring. So you can get these jars at Dollar Tree. These 2 jars I had were actually from the thrift store. I'm gonna be using a spray paint called Krylon Sea Glass, and I have one that's in like a green color, but I also have an amber color as well. You guys are seeing me test out one of my new favorite products, which is this little turnstile that I got for spray painting. I love this so much for spray painting when it's cold outside because I can turn it as I'm spray painting and kind of spray it, but then it has handles down at the bottom so I can lift it up and take it inside to dry, because you guys know you can't leave things outside when it's not warm enough to dry. So I will link this product for you down in the description box, but I think I'm gonna buy a couple more of these because you guys know I'm spray painting all the time. So I did 1 light coat of spray paint on both of the jars. Next, I have this wood bendable piece that I will link for you as well that I'm gonna cut off and make a little base at the bottom. So I made sure I just had enough that it would go over the other wood piece, maybe like a couple of centimeters. Then I'm gonna add some E6000 to the back of these pieces. I'm also gonna put hot glue so it stays in place, and I'm gonna wrap it around the bottom edge. Here's how these vases turned out with my wood riser. If you guys enjoy watching my DIYs, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel, Liz Fenwick DIY. I post new videos on Mondays and Thursdays. But if you need a little bit more DIY, I've actually created a second channel here on YouTube called Liz Fenwick Daily. On that channel, I'm posting videos daily that are around 3 to 5 minutes, so they're quick little DIYs that you guys can watch. So I would love for you to check out that channel and subscribe. I'll link it for you down in the description box. This next project is something that I really wanted to try, but I kind of haven't been doing it. I don't know why. Like, I just felt like it was out of my comfort zone. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try this. I think I can do it. So I've been seeing all these different canvases on Pottery Barn's website and higher end websites, and I'm like, I could create that. Like, I could make that canvas. So that's what we're gonna be doing for this project. I think one of the best places to buy a canvas is from Buy Below. If you're wanting a larger one, like Dollar Tree, the largest one they have is an 8x10. They have a skinnier one that's a little bit bigger, but the one I'm going to be using is in a 2-pack of 16x20. You can get it at Five Below for $5. So I think that's a pretty good deal. So about $2.50 per canvas. So I started out with my inspiration pictures. So I found this picture off of Pottery Barn that I printed out, and that's what I'll be using to kind of try to recreate my canvas from. Then I picked a color palette. So I laid out some blues, whites, creams, tans, black colors that I had to get started with. I also picked my brushes. So I had just a bunch of different styles of brushes to use. I had a foam brush. I had some water because I knew I was going to need to mix the paints with the water. And then I also had a wet paper towel. So I started by mixing my white paint, and I wasn't really worried. I had some chalk paint, some acrylic. I really wasn't worried about the type of paint that I was using. Maybe I should have been. Next, I mixed the color fawn and white, and I added that to the top portion. I had 4 different portions that I needed to create as like a base layer. Then I mixed in some blue with white until I was happy with the color of that. That's what I love about mixing paints, is you can really just, you know, add to them until you get the color you want. I'm gonna put that underneath the fawn color. Then I added some blue and gray, and I realized that was a pretty dark color, so I actually decided to add that to the bottom, then came back in later and added another blue color to the middle portion.
I used to let it in, all the things you said. You try to turn me into somebody else, but it will ricochet. I won't let it bite. I will look at you and tell you that.
From there, I needed to add a little bit of dimension, so I mixed some browns and blacks together to create those lines that go across the painting. I also added in, you know, black and white and just tan colors throughout, just to kind of give a little bit more dimension. And then from there, I went back in and I blended the colors and I tried to make them mesh together better. You want to keep adding and creating until you're happy with the way it turned out. This is a project that is definitely buildable. Once I was happy with it, I let it dry. Then I created a frame by 1x2 board. So I found a long board I had in my garage and I cut it down so that I could create a nice frame around the 16x20. I used my nail gun to nail them together. Then I stained the wood pieces. And here is how this canvas painting turned out. I'm pretty proud of it. If you're somebody who's hesitant to make something like this as well, just go for it, because I honestly did better than I thought I was going to. So this next project was kind of funny. I honestly thought about pulling it from the video, but I was like, no, I'm gonna leave it in there and kind of tell you like the different steps I did and what didn't work and what worked well. So I wanted to do a bubble blowing paint technique. Okay, so I first started out, I had a tub of water, I added in Dawn dish soap and some tempera paint that was in a green color. What I was trying to do was create this bubble look on this little dish as like a little jewelry dish. So I put the tempera paint and the bubbles into the container, mixed them together. Then I came in with a straw and blew a bunch of bubbles in there, so it looked really bubbly. So to test it, I grabbed like a piece of white cardstock and put that onto the bubbles. Well, when I pulled it up, there just wasn't enough paint. It didn't work out well. So I was like, okay, this technique is not gonna look right to give me bubbles. So that was really a fail. So my next trial, I kept the water. So I knew I was gonna need some water. And then I put a little bit of paint out on my table, and then I got a sponge. So I dipped the sponge in water. Then I dipped it in paint and kind of tested it. And I thought, okay, I kind of like the look of this with paint and water and a sponge. Then I just took my plate that I had and just started dabbing it onto the plate. Now, as I was doing this, I noticed that some of the water was kind of running into the plate because it wasn't a level plate. So I did have to kind of move it around, re-dab it. And as it was drying, I actually came in and dabbed it a little bit more. I think this technique actually worked out well because I was able to get the sponge look that I was going for my platter. Oh, and the plate that I used, by the way, you guys, is a white plate from Dollar Tree. And once it was completely dry, I used a silver paint pen along the edges to just kind of give it a finishing touch. And here's how this little jewelry trinket tray turned out. All right, guys, you'll have to let me know down in the comments which project was your favorite. What are you gonna be trying out? And I'll talk to you in our next one. Bye.